You've reached Rymerpt PT, Robert C. Peters' YouTube channel. It's the 11th day of November, 2025. Robert C. Peters is a Navy veteran. It's me. And I thought I would take you down memory lane because I've got some goodies I can show you in honor of Veterans Day. How's that sound? I was on the USS Midway aircraft carrier between 83 and 87, stationed in Yokosuka, Japan. And absolutely wonderful duty, boys and girls. I worked in S2 division, which took care of cooking for the boys. There was 4,700 men on board the USS Midway. I also worked for S5, which was the division that let me cook for the officers. During my enlistment, I also worked in the forward bake shop. Our daily duties at the forward bake shop were to make cinnamon rolls, kind of like what you see at the mall at Cinnabon. We made lots of them. We also made a lot of cookies. We made a lot of pies. We made a lot of cakes. And we were floating around in the middle of the damn ocean. Now, as I made rank, I got into people liked me. My superiors liked me. And they put me upstairs to cook for, or help cook for, the Admiral. Talk about good duty. Now, in the Navy, we eat quite well. We on the USS Midway, we had our boss for the cooks was a very competitive man and very talented man, and knew what he was doing and wanted to make sure that the Midway, when we compete against other aircraft carriers and other ships in the Navy as far as how good their food is, he wanted to win. And almost every time we would win what's called the NAY Award. The NAY Award meant that we had a little bit of, hello, Amir. We had a little bit of clout within the fleet, if you could. And for whatever reason, it gave us a little more buying power. So our boss made it so that our galley was stocked with the good stuff. Believe it or not, we had steak and lobster every now and again. We had steak and crab every now and again. And like I said, 4,700 men on board the aircraft carrier Midway. And because I was a yes man, I had a lot of respect from my superiors, and they, like I said, put me upstairs to be able to cook for, hello, la boy, and got to cook for the admirals. There was 2 different admirals at 2 different times during my enlistment. One of them was Rear Admiral Brown. One of them was Rear Admiral McCarthy. Now, I wasn't the direct cook for these 2 guys, but I was helping in the kitchen, making stuff. And like I said, every now and again, we would have steak and lobster downstairs for the boys. We would take that same steak and lobster upstairs for the Admiral, and we would turn it into Chateaubriand and lobster thermidor. Downstairs, they would have cake. Upstairs, we would have baked Alaskan. It was fantastic duty. And what I wanted to show you today was my kind of like a yearbook, if you will. We called it a cruise book. But this guy here, let me see if I can get this lined up for us. This guy here, USS Midway, we were CV41, we were not nuclear. This was our 40th anniversary during the time that I was in. and stationed on the Midway aircraft carrier, our 40th anniversary. And we believed that we had Midway magic. Let's go through this a little bit, and I'll tell stories as we go. I don't know if I can even turn the page. You know, back off just a second so that I can turn the page without bonking this damn thing. There we go. Maybe. Oh, just about made it. Hold on. There we go. That's better, I think. Maybe. Hello there, old path. How you doing, buddy? I'm gonna take you on a journey down memory lane. There ain't no such thing as a time machine, and god damn, if there was, I would head back in time and I'd be gone. I would disappear like a fart in the mist. Anyway, this is a USS Midway cruise book. See this big old sucker? This thing's even signed by flippin' George Bush. Isn't that something? Little bit of goody-goody, and we got some history up in here. The ship originally was a destroyer, and they decided to use the bottom part of it, which is might as well be bulletproof, and put a flight deck atop of it, so that we were the USS Midway aircraft carrier, and we were badass. We were little as far as the aircraft carrier goes. I told you we had 4,700 men. For instance, the USS Enterprise, which you may have heard of, has or had about 6,500 people on board. Let me get on here a little bit. I know maybe I'm going too fast for you. This is okay. That was our commander. And there's just loads and loads and loads of pages here. I'm going to try to get to ones that I can tell stories about. So just kind of look over my shoulder here. Oh, here's something that was important. Look at this. See up in the corner, it says 111 days on the IO. Okay, what the hell is the IO? That's the Indian Ocean. Interesting story you might like to hear on this one. We were sitting off the coast of Oman, and we were doing our thing. Basically, what the Navy does is, especially an aircraft carrier, kind of bebops around. We're kind of like a cop. We're doing circles in the areas that might be hot zones. In this case, off the coast of Oman, over there in the Middle East, off their shores, and just kind of showing that we had superiority in our Navy, and that we had the ability to fuck you up if we needed to. But bottom line is, we were trying to keep the peace. It says 111 days, which is highly unusual. What happened was, we were supposed to be on what they call Gonzo Station for 45 days, and then we were supposed to be relieved by the Kitty Hawk. She was going to come, the aircraft carrier Kitty Hawk, she was going to come take our place so that we could go back to shore and have liberty and chase skirts and just be a bunch of silly guys. But the Kitty Hawk pulled out of the Philippines, Subic Bay, and for whatever reason ran over a Russian submarine that was playing cat and mouse with us. And the Russians often played cat and mouse with us, and it was really no big deal. They weren't aggressive about it. They just wanted to say, hey, we're here. You do your thing, but we're going to do our thing, and we're going to kind of play cat and mouse with you. Kitty Hawk pulled out of the Philippines and ran over this Russian sub. Fucked up that Russian sub. They had to surface and be towed back to Cameron Bay in Russia, and the Kitty Hawk got messed up a little bit and had to pull back into Subic Bay. And Subic Bay fixed her up and got her back out, but that put us on Gonzo Station for an additional 45 days. These boys, young men in their 20s, hadn't seen land in 111 days. And I tell you what, we hit Thailand after that, and the women ran. They're like, damn, we don't want none of that. You want pussy so damn bad it scares us. But they did. After every 45 days, we had what was called a Steel Beach picnic. We actually went to Skeletal Crew. We dropped anchor. The cooks, unfortunately, didn't have the day off. We had to cook for these bastards. We set up grills, cooked up some chicken, some hot dogs, and some hamburgers. And every sailor on board got himself a beer. Actually, 2 beers. They got little chits they could cash in for 2 beers. Didn't cost them nothing, and us cooks had to keep an eye on it, make sure nobody got more than they were supposed to. But you know goddamn well that they figured out ways to get more than they were supposed to. We had a couple of drunks going on up in there. But you get out there and you lay on the deck and you catch yourself a suntan out on the Indian Ocean. Yeah. And I remember standing on the flight deck with a pair of binoculars and looking back on the shore. I could actually see camels. What the fuck? Had some entertainment flown in. Had some a group of people got to sing for us and holler and look at all these guys gathered around looking at that pretty on the singing and just about everybody in this audience is looking at her and say, boobies. Oh my God. Oh shit. Wog Day. When we crossed the equator and headed toward Australia, we crossed the international date line. The equator, the middle of the earth. And we went to the other side. And during that time, they have what's called Wog Day. If you have not been across the equator, where are you from? Down in USA. Okay. You cross the equator, and if you have not yet crossed the equator in your Navy life, you are called a wog, which means you're softback. You don't have a shell. You haven't matured into a real sailor, if you will. You know. And if you have been across the border, then you're a shellback. And when the ship crosses the border and you're a shellback, you get to reap havoc on the ones that have not been across the border. So there's a whole ceremony, kind of like a college initiation, but this was just flipping nuts. What you're seeing here, this is the royal baby. And there were several of them because we were on an aircraft carrier. If it was a smaller ship, there would have been 1 or 2 of them, but we had several of them. They would grease up their belly, and they would take like a raisin, and you had to try to get that raisin. And basically, when you get up in there, to grab you by the back of the head and basically rub you against the belly, so you get this fucking grease all over your face. This here, when we first were raised up to the flight deck with the elevator that raises the planes out of the hangar bay and takes them up to the flight deck, they took about 25 of us, put them on that elevator and raised us up, and then we had to. Is that the one? Anyway, we had to crawl along, and they had strips of hose, fire hose, about 1.5 foot long, and they would smack us on the butt with it. We'd kind of going through the gauntlet. And then we had to go, this over here, we had to crawl through this tube, and that tube was full of about 3-day-old garbage from the kitchen. Discarded stuff that we would have just thrown away anyway, but they saved it and they put it inside that tube, and you had to crawl through all of this sludge. Okay, what's going on here? These are at the end of the night when everybody was cleaned up and we'd been across the border. They had a beauty contest. Every one of the divisions that we had several divisions. Like I said, at the first of this, I was in S2 division for a while, and then I was in S5 division for a while. Several different divisions. Each division had to put up a guy dressed up like a girl so we could have a beauty pageant. It was just kind of fun and games. And some of these people really got into it. This guy here, Look at this. It was crazy. Let's see here. This is just drawings that they did for it. Okay, this is showing the different divisions. Just a bunch of pictures of guys. I'm gonna flip through this right quick. You can see by the size of this this cruise book that there was just a buttload of people on board this ship. Okay, let's get to something a little more fancy that we can show you here. Communication department. This is kind of cool. This guy stands on here and with the flags, and another guy's over here reading what he's saying with those flags, kind of like sign language. Now, see how this is going across like that? See how this is going across like that? If this was a supply ship, they say, okay, are you ready, with his flags? And they've got a rifle that'll shoot a thing about yay big across to the other ship with a string attached to it. And they take that string and they pull on that string. The string turns into a rope, and then they keep on pulling, and it turns into a cable. And then they hook up the cable and they run. This looks like a fuel line, perhaps. But we would have ships alongside us often, doing whatever. We actually went back and forth with our supplies when we were out at sea for a long time, and boy, did we miss milk. We had to do powdered milk if we ran out of real milk. Of course, they'd fly on board supplies as well, but I remember running out of milk and having to do powdered milk, and I remember running out of eggs and have to do powdered eggs. That sucked. But for the most part, we had what we needed. But with that long trip out, 111 days out in the middle of the Indian Ocean, that was just plain nuts. And yeah, oh, you know what's funny? Kool-Aid. Take Kool-Aid, a regular Kool-Aid packet, and add just a little bit of water to it. That stuff will polish up brass better than Brasso. You put it on your brass, you let it sit for a minute, and then kind of buff it off, and your doorknobs and whatever else is brass is going to shine like nobody's business. I'm going to flip through this a little bit, get to stuff that I can tell stories about. Oh, here we go. This is not a lot of pictures, but there's a little bit of pictures here. Singapore. You see this? When you come into port, you see this great big old statue of a lion or whatever the hell that thing is. Singapore had the biggest McDonald's I had ever seen. I think there was 3 stories on that damn thing. You went in there and you could sit on this floor, you could sit on this floor, and I think there was a third. And everybody's like, this guy here, he's like, oh, damn, had me a Big Mac, I feel good. I have fun shit right there. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. More Singapore. Thing I remember the most about Singapore is they had some of the, let's see, what's this? Okay, that's Thailand. They had girly boys, and you had to be careful because you had to look and see if they've got an Adam's apple, because this was way before all of the stuff that we got nowadays where people are changing their sex and can't decide who they are. But they specifically wanted to be women, and they had boobs. They were gorgeous, tell you what. I might have pictures of them. I'll show you here in a little bit. But wow. There was a place called, I think it was called Boogie Street in Singapore, where you could go and you could sit and have a beer, have a coffee, and that's where the girly boys hanged out. And there was guys that would come by and sell you pictures of the girly boys, because everybody was shocked at the time. Oh my God, is that a guy? Is that a girl? We couldn't tell. And I didn't mess around in Singapore. I didn't want to get her home or back to the hotel and have a wiener in my way. No, not doing that. Anyway, that's what I remember about Singapore. I also remember you could get cassette tapes And at the time, cassette tapes were big, especially if you're out at sea. We would dub our own mixes, we would have a cassette tape that was specific to us because we had free time, and we would take one cassette and take a song and send it over to another cassette, and we would make our own mix. And yeah, I remember that, and I remember the big old McDonald's and the girly boys that we were looking at and trying to figure out whether it was a girl or a guy. It was kind of interesting. Anywho, on to Thailand. Thailand was amazing. Beautiful, beautiful women. In Thailand, we went to Pattaya Beach, Thailand, and I specifically remember that there was bars and bars and bars like crazy, and clubs you could go into, but the bars were open air. There were no walls. There was a kind of like a gazebo type effect, and you just go and you sit and you get yourself a beer, and then you move on, go to another place, sit and get a beer. It's like, I don't know. There was no walls. It was strange. And then I remember the captain coming over the 1MC, which was our ship's speaker system, and he was warning us that we'd be busted in rank if we went into the ring for the Muay Thai, the kickboxing. And when you're walking around and you see the kickboxing ring and you see these little itty bitty guys, you're thinking, dude, I could kick his ass. And if they're going to offer me money to do so, I'm going to get up in there and kick his ass. No, hell no. Those little guys were deadly. And I knew better. I didn't mess with it, but I did have a couple of friends that got busted because they were caught trying to kick the ass of one of these little bitty guys. They get drunk, they hop up in the ring. The guys say, "Hey, if you can beat my man, we'll pay you," and so forth. Wow, it was entertaining to watch. I tell you what, you got this guy who's about 4 feet tall, and he looks like maybe an 8-year-old, but he's not. And you get up in that ring and smack, he fucks you up. Anyway, Thailand. Beautiful women. I mean, some of these little kids. They had little concerts and stuff. And these little kids can sing. You see that? This little guy? Seafood was astonishing. The crab and so forth. I actually got to do this. I paid not too terrible much to parasail. You start off from the shore. You start running, and the boat is out there, and it pulls you up, and you get to be way up in the air, and your feet are dangling. You're looking down, and you're seeing all the idiots. And then when it's time to stop, they take you back toward the beach, and you land, and you do a running landing. It was fun as hell. I also remember I rented a Sea-Doo, like one of those motorcycles that floats, and I had picked up a gal and put her on the back, and the two of us went out to the ship because the ship had to anchor out, and then we would have little ferry boats take the sailors to shore. But she wanted to see the ship, and I said, okay, no problem. So I rented a Sea-Doo and put her on the back, and we headed out toward the Midway, which was anchored out maybe a mile from shore because the water being shallow and so forth or whatever. And about halfway there, and the water was crystal clear. I could see down maybe 40 feet. It was so clear it was silly. All of a sudden, I see something gray swimming in the water, and I thought, oh, damn, here comes a shark. Turns out it was a dolphin. That he surfaced and did the flipper thing and just kind of, oh my God, it was so cool. Oh boy, Thailand. The food was astonishing. And they had soup vendors that would sell, I don't even remember what it's called, tom yum or something like that. And little vendors, street vendors that had this soup that was, it was so amazing. And hot, spicy, blew the top of your head off. But I'm a chili head, so I loved it. More Thailand. Okay. More Thailand. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yes, we did make it to Australia, but for whatever reason, we don't have pictures. We just have this, somebody drew it. We pulled into Fremantle because we couldn't get to Perth because Perth is inland a little bit. But we pulled into Fremantle, and we took taxis into Perth. And man, that Australia was gorgeous. Okay, here we go. Let's see what else we can come up with here. Pictures of several of my... And as a cook, I knew so many people, it was silly. Because they'd come through the line, and I'd flop my slop onto their plates. And anyway, that's not true. It wasn't slop. It was damn good food. We had... here we go. Oh, my goodness. Every sailor, you ask a sailor, he going to tell you stories about Subic Bay. Whoo, baby. This place was awesome. We've been in and out of Subic Bay, Philippines, probably 13, 15 times during my enlistment, and I was only in for 4 years. I learned a little bit of Tagalog. I learned how to say, maganda babae, you're beautiful, beautiful lady. I learned how... Oh, that's another thing. Can you picture... And they got little alleyways and stuff, too. 4 o'clock in the morning. You're still half drunk. You're lying next to your little honeycomb that you picked up. And some dude's walking down the street. Probably not this street. This was more of a main drag. This is Magsaysay. And they go down the little alleys with the cowbell. And you'd hear ding, 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 ding. And he would yell out, balut, si masarap manok, balut, balut. And he was selling balut. Balut is a fermented duck egg. That's there's, I think, 3 stages. You can buy 3 different stages, and it's a duck egg, and it's embryonic. Look it up, B-A-L-U-T, balut. And it's hard-boiled, but it's in embryonic state. So you crack that damn shell, and you look down, and you got somebody looking back up at you. Stage 3 has a beak and pin feathers. And they would put a little bit of vinegar on that and some salt or whatever, maybe some hot sauce, and they'd munch away on that. Yes, I've tried it. Yes, it's good. But getting past looking down at it and going, damn, that sucker looking back at me was weird. Anyway, this is the Philippines. There was a great place off base. You could take a little ferry over to an island that was called Grandy Island, and we would get out on that island and we would party our butts off. We would take our ladies that we had picked up, and we'd go to Grandy Island. Everybody be in a bathing suit. We'd swim. We'd snorkel. There was almost always some kind of a party going on out there, clam bake, or just a flat out get together. And boy, we ate well, and we drank like fish. I didn't drink as much as you would think I did. I was pretty much a couple of beers, and then I'd switch to soda pop because I like to keep on top of things, keep my senses. But here you go. These things are jeepneys. They're open air, and you sit down in there, and it's kind of like a little bus, and they take you everywhere you want to go. It costs just a little bit. And then these are trikes, like a 1-person, 2-person little ride, and they'll take you places. And there's bars everywhere. It's like a bar, a restaurant, a bar, a hotel. And then you get into the places where the girls are, and if you can see this, look what it says on the wall there. Can you see that? Can you see that? Natural. It says natural tacos. The only taco that you can eat but not consume. Oh, I wonder what that means. I love being a sailor. Oh my God, it was an adult playground. Anyway, let's see what we got. Oh, more Philippines. Okay, this is out in the country. They got these little, this is how they live. Some of them live. There's rich and then there's poor, but there's nothing much in between. We called it PI, Philippine Islands. Okay, here we go. This is other stuff. Flip along a little bit more. Doinky, doinky, doink. Lots of sports. When we would be on shore, I wasn't into that, but some of the guys, they formed teams and they did their thing. We were good. Competing against other ships. We had a bigger pool of guys to pull from, I guess. And as a result, it says, "Hey, I'm really enjoying this stream. You helped me rub out my hot white load into the screen of your face." Yeah, whatever, dude. Get the hell off my live. Sasebo, Japan. The southern part of Japan was a great place to stop. They had lots of shopping, and we'd been out at sea for a while. We had accumulated a decent amount of cash, couple paychecks, and we went into Sasebo and we just bought all kinds of stuff. Hey, Old Path, can you do some moderating and get rid of this Mr. McLibtard? He's not one I want on here, and I don't know how to do it. If Old Path is still here, please take care of me. Appreciate it. Okay, this is the cooks. Look at this. I told you I was S2 division. These are some of the cooks. I'm not pictured in here because I was attached to a squadron, VA-115 attack squadron with A6 planes. I was their cook, so if they left the ship, I would go with them, but they didn't leave the ship very often, so I would stay, and I was basically ship's company and cooking for the ship. But that's why I'm not pictured in here, and I'll show you my picture a little bit later when I get to my division. But these it's buffet style. These big things here, these were 80 gallons. And I was in charge of 8 of them when I was working S2 division. We were cooking stuff like SOS, shit on a shingle. We would do everything in there. Spaghetti, beans, all kinds of yummies. Okay, let's see here. Okay, where are we going? This is all just pictures of the boys. Okay, wait, what's this? Oh, Japan. Now, Yokosuka, Japan was our home port. So anybody that was on the ship for any length of time, and I was on it for 4 years, pretty much if you wanted to, you had an opportunity to get out and about and learn quite a bit about Japan, their culture, their language, the people, the whole thing. I actually climbed Mount Fuji. I did learn some Japanese. Koko wa doko watashi wa dare? Who am I? Where am I? Akimashite meretou gozaimasu. Happy New Year. I can communicate with the Japanese a little bit. I've lost quite a bit of it because I don't have contact with Japanese like I did when I was in Japan. Duh. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country. Yes, it is. Okay, fair enough. I don't know how to do it, Old Path, and I'm not really worried about it. I think chances are he dropped in for a second to be an asshole and then left. But if he's still here, welcome, I guess. But, talking like that in my live is pretty flippin' rude. Dick. This squadron here, Attack Squadron 115, that was my squadron. And I'll get to it and I'll show you my picture if I can find it. This thing's massive. Okay, there's VA 56, VA 93. A little bit. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy. Oh, here we go. VA 115 Eagle. We were the Eagles. This was our commanding officer for our squadron, Goslin. Anyway, let me flip through, see if I can find my picture. I'm in here somewheres, I swear, I really am. There I am, look at that. See if I can get in on it. Where'd it go? Oh, shit. Hang on tight. There, that guy right there. Wonk, wonk, wonk. MS3RC Peters. Ta-da! That's what I looked like when I was a little boy and I was out there swinging penis all over the world. Oh, I love being a sailor. Okay. I'll back that out a little bit and get back to normal. I don't know what much more we've got in this book, but I'm going to flip and tell stories as I remember them and see them. Oh, Korea. Korea was badass. We hit it in the wintertime, actually a couple times, and it was usually the wintertime when we went to Korea. If you ever watched the series MASH with Alan Alda, and they're freezing their butt off in the winter, dude, it was cold. Oh my God. I'm 62, so if you don't remember the reference, I apologize. There was a show when I was younger called McCloud, had Dennis Weaver, and he was kind of a cowboy cop, and he had this longer coat that was tan, and it was lined with fur inside of it. I bought one of those, and I'm walking around Korea in one of those, and I was still freezing my ass off. Good gracious. Oh my God. Yeah, Korea was awesome. What do I remember about Korea? Oh, they had this flavored champagne that they called Oscar. And with that Dennis Weaver McCloud coat, there was inside pockets. I could carry a couple of bottles of that and walk around and take a sip on it and put it back in the inner pocket. And nobody knew that I had it. That was fun. Oh, what else about Korea? The bars were cool. The food. Oh, I met this gal and she turned me on to kimchi. If you haven't had kimchi, oh my God, it's good. It's fermented cabbage that they let sit and ferment for quite some time. Some of them even bury it in clay jugs, like the winter kimchi. They'll dig it up, and it's fermented, pickly flavor, hot and spicy. Oh, delicious. Okay, what do we got here? VF-151. That was another division of planes. I mean, we're an aircraft carrier, of course. What else? What's this? Oh, Manila. We did get to Manila, which, of course, is also the Philippines. And that was more of the high-end Philippines. There was, it was nice. Not really too many pictures here. Wait a minute. Is that Manila? No, that's not Manila. This is Manila. It was awesome. They welcomed us very nicely. It was more high-end, nice houses, nice buildings, nice. I mean, you go to Subic, like I showed earlier, and it was almost. I don't want to insult by saying third world, but I mean, they lived in shacks sometimes. Everything was older and more rustic, if you will. Manila was like a city, a regular city, and but they sure had lots of nifty bars and stuff that you could go into, just like in Subic. Yeah. And some of these old sailors, like this guy here, he'd been in for a while. He loved being able to go to Manila. Okay, what else we got? Some of the shows. You see that? Some of the shows. The women were just absolutely gorgeous. And of course, as a sailor, we're going to the shows where we could see minimal clothing. Okay, 130 VAQ 136. We're kind of running out of options here. Oh, here's a story for you. See this dude? He's got on top of him a radar disc, and they fly high, and they can radar and see whether there's submarines and what have you. Often they would do on the ship what they called touch and goes. The plane would come, it would touch down, and then take off again. I don't know why they did it, but they did it. And this plane here, or one very similar to it, was doing touch and goes one day. And I'm walking on the hangar bay. Click on my name, bro. What does that do? Add as moderator. Ta-da! Managing moderator. Ta-da! Ooh, I like that. Old path is now managing. Well, there you go. I didn't know I could do that. Okay. Hopefully that works. Cool. So they're doing touch and goes. And this particular plane missed. It was tragic. It was very tragic. I was walking on the hangar bay. The elevator was down, so when the elevator is down, it's like a big-ass window. I could see out while I was walking down the hangar bay. And this plane, because it had missed, hit the water, and I saw it float by. Oh, my God. I'm walking. I'm about 22 years old, 21, 22 years old, and I see a big-ass plane in the drink float by. It had hit the water and killed the crew of 7 on impact. Now, this has radar equipment on it, and we're not capable of pulling it out of the water. We don't have cranes and stuff to pull it out of the water. So we had to send the SEALs in to, number 1, get the bodies off, and number 2, blow it up. Okay, so now I'm a cook, and where are you going to put bodies? Okay, you're going to put them in the freezer or in the fridge area, and on an aircraft carrier, the freezer's humongous. So we've got bodies in our freezer for a short period of time until they could process and ship them off. I'm cooking. I need stuff from the freezer. So I tell my guys who are helpers for me, hey, go down and get me so-and-so from the freezer. He looks up at me and he says, nope, there's bodies down there. It took me a while to find somebody that would go get what I needed. And then they shipped these bodies off, of course, and it was a very sad time. But yeah, I witnessed. I mean, you're at sea, it's real. Absolutely real. You get back to the United States and you just kind of walk around in a daze. But when you're out at sea, you better be alert. You better watch what you're doing because it's real life. Good gracious. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Oh, Hong Kong. Good gracious. Hong Kong was flipping awesome. Now, at the time I hit Hong Kong, actually several times I hit Hong Kong, it was the time of the British rule. They took care of Hong Kong. Nowadays, it's gone back to Chinese rule, and I don't know if it's the same or not. I wouldn't imagine it is. It's probably quite a bit different. But Hong Kong, wow. There was a little ferry boat that went from Hong Kong to Kowloon, and it was called the Star Ferry. The only place in the world I've ever seen a sign up saying, please do not spit on the floor. What the hell? Just awesome. Look at these. Shopping was cool. Another thing that I really remember about Hong Kong, at least the Hong Kong side, was that Hong Kong was just amazing. The Hong Kong, this is a view from you're in Hong Kong and you're up on top of, they've got a gondola type thing that'll take you on a cable, and I don't know, I forget what they call that, but it'll take you to the top of Victoria Peak, and the view from there is just astonishing. Victoria Peak. But what I remember was on the Hong Kong side, I'm looking around and I'm like, wait a minute, every single car is a high-end car. Mercedes, BMW, flipping Rolls Royce, even the taxis I think were Mercedes, and I'm like, where the hell are the little car, the cars for the poor people? There pretty much wasn't poor people, and if they were poor, they're doing regional transit or whatever, your taxi cabs and your so on and so forth. It was amazing. More Hong Kong, opulent. Lots of what you picture as Chinese with the reds and so forth. There was a lot of temple type stuff. This is awesome. Look at this. Can you see that? This here? They had an area in Aberdeen, which is close to Hong Kong. You take a taxi to it, and they had floating restaurants. These were badass. I knew that they were worldwide famous, so I made a point of grabbing some of my buddies, and we went and we had, I think, lunch. It might have been dinner. Maybe it was dinner at the Thai Pack restaurant, floating restaurant in Aberdeen. I actually had shark fin soup. Amazing. Oh my God. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Here, the little boats would take you out to the, can you see? I don't know if you can see that. I got glare, I'm sorry. Maybe, will that help? No, that doesn't help. These little boats would take you out to the restaurant, because the restaurant was a floating restaurant. Okay, this represents it a little better. Yeah, Skytram. You would go here, and then you get on one of these little boats, and it would take you out here. See that? This would take you out to the Jumbo restaurant. I did the Thai Pack, but pretty damn cool stuff. What else we got here? More Hong Kong. Okay. You see movies with boats like this? That's real, man. That's in Hong Kong. That's cool as hell. Lots of this kind of stuff. Can you see that? Just hustle and bustle, and it was fun to walk around with your buddies, because we felt safe, because there's several of us, and we'd walk around and we'd look around. Okay, that's that about. There was several times where it was, see, when remember I said we were out on the Indian Ocean on Gonzo Station for 111 days. When we did that, when we found out we had to be out there another 45, the captain, the ship's captain, made arrangements for us to be on 3 shifts. instead of 2 shifts. Because on regular circumstances, it was 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And of course, you slept. When you were on 3 shifts, there was, shorter shifts and three crews to go around the clock to make sure things was taken care of. Therefore, we had a lot of free time. Now, check this out. We were large enough ship that we had a game room, a video game room. He's sitting there playing Pac-Man. Ship's library. You could get yourself a book. They sold books, and then they also had a library where you could check out a book. People get up on the flight deck, get some chairs, and catch some rays. He's got binoculars. He's checking out some of the ships. Now you see here, see these other ships? We're an aircraft carrier. We're the Queen Bee. There's other ships near us protecting us. And then, of course, we've got our planes that protect us as well. But, yeah, you could sit on the flight deck with binoculars and check out those other ships. Okay, that's true. We did dry dock. In 1985, we went back to Yokosuka, Japan, and they took the water out from underneath us because they had repairs to do and so forth. Check out this. Look at this. See, here's a guy. See the little guy? Look at the size of that propeller right there. And here, see him reaching up to try to touch it? Yeah, we don't mess around. It was crazy big. Crazy big. Okay, and then they were working on fixing it. Okay, we're getting to the tail end here, dude. Yeah. Oh. We became friends with Crystal Gale, and she wrote a song that we played. That's the captain of the Alpha Centauri. We must be out of our minds. Still we are shipmates bound for tomorrow, and everyone here's flying blind. That is the crew bound for Alpha Centauri, dreamers and poets and clowns. Bold is the ship bound for Alpha Centauri, nothing can turn them around. Oh, we must believe in magic. We must believe in the guiding hand. If you believe in magic, you have the universe at your command. Yeah, buddy. Our ship's song. Written by Crystal Gale. Anyway, that, boys and girls, is my story about the Midway aircraft carrier and the time that I was aboard. Hey, thank you for joining me. That was fun. I am a veteran. I spent 4 years in the Navy, and I'm damn proud of it. Hey, Old Path, thank you for hanging out with me. Appreciate it. And anybody else that might be still around, God bless you. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to head out, Old Path. Appreciate it, bud. Bye-bye now.